Folks, would you spot the difference? I'll explain what I mean and then get into the latest home prices and insights for York Region for week ending July 16th, 2025. If you want to speak directly with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video, in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. I'm working with these buyers, and we see two listings. Both of them in the description say $200,000 of full home rentals. When you look at the photos, they all look beautiful. They're like really, really nice. Price, they're both pretty much the same price. So we're pretty excited about going to see these homes. We go into the first one. It does not disappoint. The kitchen, you're standing in the kitchen and it's like, wow, they've done a lot of work here. You could see it. You open up the cupboards to look in these new cupboards. There's a stamp in the cupboard there of a high-end cabinet maker, and it's the same cabinets used throughout the house in the other bathrooms. You look at the doors, all the interior doors. You open a bathroom door, a closet door. They're heavy. They're solid doors. Wide plank, beautiful flooring. There's so many features to this house, and you could feel and tell and see the quality in this home. So it does not disappoint. Whatever you read in the MLS listing and the photos, seeing it in person is just a continuation. You've now verified what was in the listing. We go to the second home. Looks great. Really, really nice. As you start looking a little bit closer, you open the kitchen cupboard and you start to think, well, wait a minute. The inside of this kitchen, inside of the cupboards, it feels like it's part of the old kitchen that was previously there, but it's been refurbished. Maybe they've changed the doors, changed the hardware, but it's essentially the same kitchen that was refurbished. The interior doors, they're really nice. They've all been replaced, but when you open them, they just feel really light. They're the hollow doors, the less expensive doors than the solid doors we saw at the other home. And this goes on and on with other features that we're looking at. The flooring, don't get me wrong, it was really nice, but it wasn't the same quality as the other flooring. So now we're starting to question, did they really spend $200,000 in renovations in this home? Because in the first one, there was no question. It made sense. In the second one, you start to kind of question. The problem is that, look, they're both beautiful homes, don't get me wrong, but they shouldn't be at the same price. And a buyer that's unsuspecting of this or can't tell the difference is going to pay the same. If the truly high-end one gets sold first and you're just looking at photos, the second home probably is going to sell for around the same price. But they are truly two different homes because of the quality of the renovations. And when it comes to, $200,000 in renovations, I think a lot of people just throw these numbers around these days. $100,000, $200,000, it's like nothing for rentals these days. People are just throwing these numbers around and everybody just believes it. So I ask you, would you be able to tell the difference? If not, I urge you to get guidance from somebody who can. Let me know in the comments below if you'd be able to tell the difference. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. And if you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. York Region, the detached market. Our focus is on Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham. Richmond Hill way up here, Vaughan and Markham way down here. We're going to start off with Vaughan for week ending July 16th. 19 detached properties sold. 4 of those sold at $2 million or more. Kind of looks like sales are trending down, which is kind of normal as we head into, well, we're in the middle of July now and heading into August. Sales normally trend down at this time of year. Average sold price kind of looks like it's been trending up. It's currently sitting at $1,668,000. 1,668 is 5% lower than where we were for the same week a year ago. The median price of 1,465 is 6% lower. Now, when we look at the dotted line, the 4-week moving average, I just finished saying when I looked at the other chart, looks like to me sales, average prices are trending up. However, the 4-week moving average kind of shows something different. For average price, the 4-week moving average, it averages on a 4-week basis every 4 weeks, averages out the highs and the lows and the prices. It kind of shows prices are a bit more flat. The median price, the last month and a half or so, looks like median price is climbing. 19 were sold, 3 of those, so 16% sold at list price or more. 75 were listed during the week. These are new listings for the week, but they're not necessarily first-time listings. There's for sure a good number in that 75 new listings number that were previously listed for whatever reason. They've canceled that listing and relisted. But there's 651 available detached properties for sale just in Vaughan, and 2.9%. If we look at the sales, only 2.9% of all available detached properties for sale actually sold. So there's not a lot of sales versus how many are actually available for sale. Only 2.9% sold. Months of inventory very much looks like it's climbing. We're now sitting at 7.9 months of inventory. Here's Richmond Hill. The sales in Richmond Hill are so low, it really skews the number. So it's really hard to kind of figure out what's going on in Richmond Hill. 18 were sold for week ending July 16th. 7 of those, so just under half, but 7 out of 18 sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price as a result of that sitting at $1,918,000. 1,918 seems high, but it's still lower than where we were. It's 5% lower than the same week a year ago. The median price of 1,725 is 16% lower year over year. 18 were sold. Out of 7 of those sold at list price or more. That's 39%. 70 were listed. There's 586 available for sale. So 3% out of all the listings on the market actually sold. Months of inventory sitting at 7.5. Here's Markham. Markham, 26 detached properties sold. 6 of those sold at $2 million or more. Sales look like very gradually, like it's less by 1 or by 2 each week, gradually trending downwards. Average sold price sitting at $1,643,000. 1,643 is 7% lower than the same week a year ago. The median price of $1.4 million is 20% lower. The 4-week moving average, kind of tough to spot a trend. Which way are prices going in Markham? Very difficult to say right now. But 26 we said were sold, 8 of those, so 31% sold at list price or more. 71 were listed. There's 497 available for sale. 5.2% actually sold. And a 5.2% seems low, but it's one of the higher percentages in the GTA. 4.4 is the months of inventory, pretty much a balanced market. Here's a summary. Markham has the lowest months of inventory, so it's a bit more of a balanced market. Vaughan and Richmond Hill, leaning more, well, not leaning more towards a buyer's market. It is definitely in the buyer's market category, but I say that, this comes with a slight warning. Price point, home type. In this case, we're focused on detached. Price point, neighborhood will definitely be a factor whether you're going to experience a buyer's market or you're going to experience more of a balanced market. And in some situation, maybe even a seller's market for those rare property that everybody wants. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.